It is July 14th, 2024, which means that we are more than halfway through this year. And in today's video, we're gonna take a look at some of the stats and data for sales of single-family homes in the city of Ventura year to date. And we're gonna compare that to the same time last year and try and see if we can track any trends or kind of see where values are going, days on market, etc. We'll start with a 30,000 foot view of the entire city, single-family homes specifically, and then we'll go neighborhood by neighborhood through 9 distinct pockets of Ventura, looking at that same data so that we can kind of get a little more granular into specific neighborhoods. If this is your first time to the channel, make sure that you subscribe so you can be the first to learn about any changes to the Ventura real estate market. And if you're thinking about selling or buying, whether it's in 9 days or 9 months, don't hesitate to reach out. All of my contact information is down below in the description. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So this is actually the MLS. This is what real estate agents use to access the market data and kind of see what's going on. I'm gonna adjust my screen just a little bit here so it's easier for me to look back and forth at the camera. But anyway, so I wanna kind of set up a few different filters first. So first of all, we're gonna look at what is currently coming soon and active single family homes. You can see that we've got the city of Ventura listed here. And we're going to check out this map view. So this is the larger map view of Ventura. You can see that we have Oxnard just here to the south, Camarillo, Santa Paula. This is Ojai up here, and then Carpinteria and Santa Barbara further to the west. Now you can see that most of the active and coming soon homes are kind of here in the central part of Ventura, Ventura proper. And the interesting thing is we're a community of over 100,000 people. Our total housing stock is nearly 40,000 housing units for the city of Ventura, and we currently only have 106 single-family homes that are either active or in coming soon status. So if you look at that as a percentage of the total housing units available, it's incredibly small. It's less than 1% of our total housing supply is currently active for sale. That right off the bat tells me that we are probably still in a seller's market, and we'll take a look at some different data to kind of further support that claim. But I just want to kind of start by pointing that out and show you here, there's not a lot available for sale, and that's been the ongoing theme over the last several years. In fact, even before COVID, 2019 was still a low inventory year, and that's just kind of continued through COVID for many different reasons, obviously. Now, one other thing, let's check out here. We're going to remove these coming soon and active status. We're going to check the active under contract and pending boxes. So there's an additional 64 single-family homes in Ventura that are currently in escrow. Now, will every single one of those 64 actually kind of continue through to the close of escrow? No, some of them will fall out. I totally get that. But the vast majority of these will move forward to the closing table and get over the finish line. So we have an additional 64 units here that are currently going through escrow. They're going through inspections. Maybe contingencies have been removed. Maybe contingencies have not been removed. Maybe they still have a loan or a physical inspection in place. Now let's go over here and check out currently what has closed. And we're gonna look just at the first half of this year. So for the first 6 months of this year, going back over to the map view, 238 single-family homes have sold. 238 single-family homes have sold the first half of this year. And a couple of things that I want to check out while we're in here. Go ahead and sort these by price. So just for fun, the most expensive single-family home that is sold year to date in the city of Ventura was this property at 2607 Seahorse Avenue. That's a dock home in the Keys on the water. It does have a dock in the backyard where you can park a boat. It's about 5,300 square feet, and it's sold for this $3,450,000. And check this out, only 30 days on the market. So that went quick. And that's further to, we've continued to see specifically in the Keys, waterfront homes are selling very quickly. Even homes that are in the Keys that are not on the water are selling very quickly. The Keys just happens to be one of those pockets within Ventura that's in super high demand. We'll talk a little bit more about that once we get further into this video. Going back over here to our closed sales, we're gonna see what the lowest price single family home was that is sold year to date. And let's check this out. It was this $420,000 sale over on San Fernando Ave. This is technically up in La Conchita, which is still Ventura. It's 93001. But this sold for $420,000. And let's just look at a couple photos here. If you're not familiar with La Conchita, this is where we had a massive landslide several years ago. A lot of these properties have been red tagged by the county or condemned entirely, meaning that you cannot occupy them. So this was $420,000, and let's see if there are any fun notes back here. Nothing too interesting. But anyways, so that was the cheapest single family home that has sold year to date here in the city of Ventura. All right, now let's take a quick peek at what has sold, or what did sell over the same time period back in 2023. So year to date for 2024, 238 single family homes have sold. You can see here on the screen that during the same time last year, only 231 single family homes had sold. I shouldn't say only, but 231 single family homes sold over the same time period last year. Now, what I want to check out while we're over here is what was the median sales price? So the median sales price over the same time period in 2023, from January 1st to June 30th, 2023, the median sales price for a single family home was $850,000, and the median days on market was 21 days. So still a very kind of quick, fast-paced moving marketplace last year. Now let's pop back into the 2024 data and see how that compares for this year. Okay, so our median price for the first half of 2024 for a single family home is up $53,500 over the same time period last year. And the median days on market is also up only by 1 day. So for the same time period last year, it was 21 days was the median days on market with a $850,000 sales price. That tells me, obviously, that home values are continuing to increase, or at least they still are. I believe that we'll continue to see home price appreciation here in Ventura for the rest of the year. And that's based on several different factors that we'll get into kind of once we get neighborhood by neighborhood. One other thing that I want to mention is that year to date, 364 single family homes have been brought to the market. This is up 34% over the same time period last year. Last year, only 271 single family homes have been brought to the market in the first half of the year. So we've seen an increase in available inventory, and my initial reaction to that is, okay, we're seeing a spike in inventory, a spike in supply. Does this mean that prices are going to come down? Well, as we just saw, prices are still up $50,000 over last year. So prices are still heading in the right direction. The median days on market was up at only by 1 day, so homes are still selling very quickly. I think that means that we're in pretty darn good shape. One last thing that I want to point out here is over the last 30 days, let's check this out. 48 homes have sold over the last 30 days here in Ventura. And again, back to what is coming soon and what is active, that's 106 available properties. So over the last 30 days, we've sold 48. That means that if we were to bring no new homes to market, it would take about 2 months, 2.2 months to kind of work through that supply. That 2.2 number is our month's supply of inventory, and that's what we use to track whether we're in a seller's market or we are in a buyer's market. So generally speaking, if you are below, kind of 5 months, you're in a seller's market. 6 to 7 months is kind of a neutral market, and then above that is considered a buyer's market. We are firmly still in seller's market territory with an increase in median sales price year to date. Okay, now I want to go kind of neighborhood by neighborhood. And as I mentioned, there are 9 different neighborhoods that we're going to check out here. And I've already preset this up, so I've got a little list that we can kind of run through. So starting with the first one, this is the East End. You can kind of see on the map here. This is what I have outlined as East End. Now let's kind of peel back some of the layers of this onion. Right now, coming soon and active homes, 22 are available here on the East End. Okay, let's see here. What has closed over the last 30 days. So over the last 30 days, 16 homes have sold on the East End. And I just want to check out kind of what the median sales price was over here on the East End over the last 30 days. So $963,000 over the last 30 days is the median sales price. Now that's up over what the year-to-date median is citywide. So let's go ahead and check out as well what's been going on year to date. Okay, so a total of 83 homes have sold in the first half of this year over on the East End. Let's look at what the median price point was. So $882,000. So when you look at the first half of the year, that median price does actually come down to $882,000, but the median days on market is incredibly low at 16. That's lower than the citywide average for the same time period. And just for fun, let's go ahead and check out what was the highest price sale on the East End and the lowest price sale. highest price sale on the East End for the first half of this year was this sale over on Turquoise Avenue. This is $1,290,000. Let's just kind of cruise through some photos here and check this out. Nice home. Could use a few different updates. Stainless steel appliances though. Maybe you want to replace those 12-inch by 12-inch tiles and go with something a little more modern. All right, so let's look at what our lowest price sale was. And just a quick note, so the data in the MLS is dependent on real estate agents such as myself correctly inputting them into the system. I do know that this Point City Gardens property was a mobile home, so we're not gonna look at that. Occasionally a mistake like that will happen and will sneak its way into the data, but it's generally a small enough number that I'm not concerned about it corrupting the overall trends or information that I'm pulling from that data. So let's look at 790 South Saticoy. This was a single family home on an incredibly large lot for Ventura. It was nearly half an acre over here on Saticoy. It was on a flag lot, so it had the Saticoy address, but you actually had to turn down a long driveway and drive past several homes to get back to this property. It was in mostly original condition and needed a full update throughout, and it sold for $500,000 while the original list price was $650,000. I don't know it for a fact, but I'm willing to bet that this sold to an investor who's probably gonna come in and flip it. Actually, why don't we do this? Let's check out the history of this property. Okay, so you can see here the sale recorded back in March to Breckenridge Prop Fund. I actually do know that Breckenridge Prop Fund is a fix and flipper that operates mostly in Los Angeles, but also sells here in the city of Ventura. So that did go to a flipper. That'll be interesting to kind of see what they do with the property. As mentioned, the lot was really large. It was super overgrown, so that'll have to be cleaned up, and the house itself was in very sore shape and needed a lot of love. So it'll be interesting to see that kind of come back out onto the market. I'm just looking at some of the notes here in the MLS. Okay, so that was the cheapest sale here on the East End. And I say here on the East End because the East End is where I live. Let's go back over and we'll move on to our next area, which is Montalvo. And I'll start with the map view just so you guys can kind of see what area I'm physically talking about on a map. Proper historic center of Montalvo is actually closer to where you see this Montalvo badge here on the map. But for all intents and purposes, I kind of consider this entire area to be Montalvo. But let's go ahead and look at what has sold in the first half of this year. In Montalvo, 29 single family homes have sold in the first half of the year. And again, let's go ahead and check out some of the stats and data here. So in Montalvo specifically, the median sales price for the first half of this year was $815,000 with a median day on market of 27. Now looking at the highest and lowest again, the highest was 1.165 million. Let's check this house out. Okay, nice two-story home. Looks like the home takes up most of the lot. This has been pretty and remodeled. You have newer floors, newer kitchen. It's actually a pretty darn nice house if you ask me. I'm not wild about the color scheme, it's not my taste, but you can tell that it's been updated. It's a nice house for nearly 1.2 million. Anyways, that was built in 2000 and it sits on a 3,300 square foot lot. So let's just kind of go back into the photos real quick to illustrate my point about these newer built homes not having much of a yard. So you can actually see here from the profile photo of this home, there's really not much of a yard, and the yard backs up to that street there. And you just have to be aware. The newer built homes, they're gonna be sited on lots that are pretty darn small. So if a backyard or a large backyard is important for you, maybe you have kids or a dog and you want them to have space to run around, maybe consider purchasing a home that was built in the 70s or the 80s. Now there's challenges that come with homes of that age too, but you're gonna achieve your goal of having a larger yard. Back over to the data. Let's see what the lowest price sale was in Montalvo. It was this property over on Quail Street. Okay, so there's only one photo in here, so we can't look at any more photos, but this home was about 1,600 square feet, 4-bedroom, 2-bath, and it sold for $550,000 with an attached 2-car garage. Built in 1978, and you can see there, the lot is double that home that sold for nearly 1.2 million that we just looked at. So interesting there. All right, on to the next neighborhood. Let's look at the College area. College area generally remains in high demand. A lot of the homes here were built in the 50s and the 60s. This home in particular that we landed on this landing page was built in 1948. But let's go over and see what has sold in the first half. Median price for a single family home, $919,000 with a median days on market of 24. Let's look at the high-low. The highest price home that sold in the College area in the first half of 2024 was this property over on Carroll Drive. That's a typo there. It was not Carroll Drive Drive, it was Carroll Drive. 2,400 square feet, built in 1952 on a 7,200 square foot lot. This actually was a cute mid-century modern home. I remember when this first popped up and I had my eye on it. Nice high ceilings. See, they'd done some updates over the years. It's a nice cute home, cute kitchen, nice house. Nice house on a nice street in a nice neighborhood. The lowest price home in the College area was this property over on Stanford Street. About 1,100, nearly 1,200 square feet of living space, 2 bedroom, 1 bath, smaller, patio style, single family home, detached. It does need some updating and some love, but again, to be able to get into this neighborhood or get into this pocket, that's a pretty decent price point. Moving on to the next neighborhood, we have the Hillsides. The way that I'm defining Hillsides, let's go look at a map. This is the area that I'm physically describing as the Hillsides here. So there are other hillside homes and neighborhoods that are closer to Midtown and downtown. Hobson Heights is one of the most famous ones. Downtown adjacent is technically considered to be Midtown. And then you have another pocket of homes right here that are actually in downtown. So when we get to those neighborhoods, we'll check that out too. But anyway, so back to the Hillsides, this would include Pierpont, Ondolando, Hidden Valley, Skyline, and then the homes, there's a cluster of homes that are just on the north side of Foothill as you kind of make your way from west to east. And let's go see what has sold. The first half of this year, let's just look at the data and the numbers real quick. So the median sales price was $1,695,000 in these hillside communities, and the median days on market was 39. So that's actually the highest days on market that we've seen so far. Because the price point is higher, these homes do typically tend to sit a little bit longer on the market. Let's go look at the highest and the lowest. So the highest sale in the Hillsides was this property over on High Point Drive. This actually just recently closed in the Pierpont community for $2.2 million, $10,000 over what the asking price was. This was a newer construction after the Thomas fire, single story home, nearly 2,500 square feet, 4 bedrooms and 2 baths. Now, nice home, decent enough layout, and it did have a bit of a view, although I wouldn't call it an A+ view. It did still have a view of the ocean. And you can see here, open concept, newer construction. Honestly, the finishes are a bit masculine in my opinion, but still a very lovely home. And let's go back and look at what the lowest price sale was here in the Hillsides, and it was this property over on Colina Vista. You can see here, this had been moderately updated throughout, but this was a nice little kitchen backsplash there. This was a 1,600 square foot home, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths. If you're not familiar with Colina Vista, it is kind of a sharp incline. If you're sited midway up that street, just be aware that you might have a lot of your neighbors, in the mornings and in the evenings, accelerating to get up that hill to their homes that might be further past you. Just something to keep in mind. And this was in Ondolando, nice little single story home. Let's check real quick if it had a view. Bit of a view southward, okay. Yeah, you can probably see the ocean on a clear day. I wouldn't call it an A+ view. In my opinion, to get to an A+ view, your home, the view itself needs to be spectacular, and then your home has to be built to capture that view. So it's one thing to have a spectacular view, but there are no windows on that side of the home to let that view in. I would not consider that an A+ view. But if your view is exceptional and the home was built to capture that view, meaning that you can see that view from most bedrooms, you can see it from your kitchen sink, you can see it from your living room, from your dining room, that's when I would really consider an A+ view. This home has a view, just not an A+ view. Okay, on to the next neighborhood. So we were in the Hillsides. Let's go check out Midtown. Again, Midtown does include that little pocket of Hobson Heights that we talked about earlier. And let's clean up some of this data for ourselves. For the first half of the year, 29 homes sold in Midtown. We're gonna start with that map view so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So Midtown, on the east side is Mills, and that's kind of the street, the main street that leads up into the mall and Trader Joe's and Devmo. And then on the west side, it's generally speaking San Jose, and then it works its way up into this barranca that's just on the west side, this San Juan barranca that's on the west side of Hobson Heights. That's kind of the western border, and then just goes up into the hillside there. Let's go see highest and lowest price sale was. So for Midtown, in the first half of this year, the median sales price was $1,089,000, and the median days on market was 18. This is probably, this is the lowest median days on market that we've seen by neighborhood so far, and it's below the citywide median as well. Midtown is incredibly hot. People want to be in Midtown. There are a lot of Spanish style homes that are in Midtown. Those are always incredibly popular, particularly with my generation, the millennial generation. It is so centrally located and so easy to walk to restaurants or barber shops or coffee shops, and even the beach. It's super quick and easy to access the beach. It's going to continue to be in demand, and you'll continue to see a price premium there and homes selling quicker than the rest of the city. Let's check out the highest and lowest price. So the highest price sale was $1,825,000. I already know this was up on the Hillside in Midtown with a nice view of the ocean. You can see some of these photos here. This is a 3-bedroom with 3 bath, 2,300 square feet, nearly 2,400 square foot home. I actually showed this to one of my buyers when it was still available and active on the market. The floor plan was a little choppy, a little funky, but at the end of the day, when you have a view like this home had, it's pretty easy to forgive some of the other things, you know, that might be less desirable with the home. Let's go back over to the data. The lowest price sale in Midtown for the year was this property over on Dunning Street. So I actually wrote an offer on this house for myself to try to purchase it and then flip it and resell it once I've fixed it back up. This was an 842 square foot home, 2-bedroom, 1 bath. There was fire damage in the interior, but you can see this nice big attractive cactus here in the front. There are also some issues with these trees that were on the north property line that were impacting the neighbor. In fact, the roots were disturbing some of the concrete in the garage. So this property, look, you can see here, you know, needs love throughout. This was going to be a to the studs project here. Detached 2-car garage. You can see that some of the subfloor had been failing, and so the sheet of plywood was placed on the top there. That was due to water intrusion. And this needs a lot of love. Now, just for fun, the exit price that I was underwriting this property at, the after repair value, was about $950,000. So if somebody was willing to come in and pay $685,000, and they were penciling that left them enough room to put work into it, get the house livable again, borrow money if they had to go and borrow money at a higher interest rate with a hard money loan, several other factors, you know, that just wasn't how much I was willing to spend, and that's not how much I wasn't able to make the deal pencil with my offer, which was lower based on my after repair value. But hey, you know what, best of luck to this developer, and I hope they make a killing on it. And the street certainly will benefit from having this house fixed up and repaired. Okay, that is Midtown. Moving over to downtown. Starting with the map view here, you can kind of see again. So on the east side of downtown, that boundary again is San Juan and the San Juan Barranca, and then it kind of goes up into the hillside here, and then it's bordered by the avenue, the Ventura Avenue on the west side. Let's change our dates here and check out what we have. So only 4 single-family homes have sold in the first half of 2024 in downtown. It's incredibly low. Most single-family homes here rarely come up for sale. A lot of them are protected by historic designation. Let's look at the stats. So the median sales price for a single-family home in downtown was $1.561 million. The median days on market was 30, so that's higher than the citywide median. Let's go ahead and check out the highest and lowest. While we're here, the highest was this property on Mint Lane. This property was a Thomas Fire rebuild. I went and toured this on the broker tour. Very lovely home. The view was exceptional. Let me go back one photo here so you guys can see this. Just incredible 180-degree, probably even greater views of the ocean, the hillsides. It was sited right at the top of Mint Lane. It's the last house there on that cul-de-sac. Gorgeous property. Let's go through a few more photos. You can see all the way down towards Point Magoo, Oxnard, Port Hueneme. Just a beautiful home. Nice finishes, new construction again. If somebody's willing to pay a premium, in fact they did. They paid $2,975,000 for this 2,800 square foot home. That's over $1,000 a foot. 3 bedrooms, 3.5 baths. My one issue with this property was that in order to access the 3rd and final bedroom, you actually had to leave out through the front door of the home, out into the open, outside, and walk down a gently sloping ramp to get to a separate entrance for that 1 bedroom, 1 bath that was technically downstairs below the rest of the house. So the floor plan certainly was lacking in my opinion, not the greatest, but clearly whoever bought this home didn't care about that, wasn't worried about that, and they have an exceptional new construction home with an exceptional view. Back over to the data, let's see what the lowest price was. This one over on Crimea. Okay, yeah, this home, this needed a lot of help and love. This was a fixer. It was sold for $575,000 and was 672 square feet, 2 bedroom, 1 bath, built in 1922. So no, really only 2 photos here, so we can't go into it, but this one was a fixer and certainly needed a lot of attention. Moving on from downtown, let's go check out the Avenue. The Avenue proper is really kind of this area that's south of Stanley. You can see Stanley Avenue. That's one of the exits off of the 33, which will take you up to Ojai. So this is kind of the Avenue proper, the historic portion of the Avenue. Most of these homes were built in the 1920s. Some of those were even built sooner than that. Again, this was that workforce housing that was built during the oil boom that Ventura went through. But when people talk about the Avenue, generally they're also including these parts that are north of Stanley. There's some new construction communities or newer construction communities that are up here, and then some pockets that were built in the 50s and the 60s. So this property over here on Los Cabos, for example, that's active for sale, this is built in 1989. And then let's go and check out this one over here on Larkspur. This community was built back in the late 50s. So 28 homes in total have sold, including this property built in 1988. Let's look at the data real quick. $795,000 was the median sales price over on the Avenue. That's incredible. I never thought that we would really see that on the Avenue, but here we are today. The median days on market was 32 for the first half of this year. So checking out the highest and lowest price over on the Avenue. The highest price sale was $1,230,000. This was out of a newer construction community here. This was built in 2018. And again, 2,900 square feet, nearly 3,000 square feet, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, sold for $1,230,000. Now this community does have a monthly HOA payment of $102 a month. And let's look at a few photos of this house here. Newer construction. This is typically what you expect from newer construction. Updated floors, countertops, cabinets, kitchens look newer, stainless steel appliances, bathrooms, primary bathroom here. So that's what you expect from newer construction over on the Avenue. Let's look at the lowest price sale. It was this property over on Primrose, and we're gonna chat about this one briefly. So this was a single family home that sold for $420,000 a little bit earlier this year. February 27th is when it closed escrow. Okay, so check this out. Let's look at a few of these photos. You can see this home was a total fixer, needed absolute love throughout, and then the shocking thing was the condition of the foundation. And it was all busted up. You have cracks running throughout the foundation of this home, which led to cracks, up on the ceilings and on the walls. This home was in rough shape. I do know that this did sell. Check this out. This is some scary stuff. I would not be moving my family into this house. Foundation issues can be solved, but in my humble opinion, this was a scraper. I don't know how you recover this foundation or recover this property, and I don't even know why it wasn't red tagged by the county before it sold. But anyways, that was a fixer. One thing that I do want to talk about in regards to this neighborhood where this one sold for $420,000, here it is. So this little pocket in general, if you're interested about buying a home over here, maybe the sales price over here is more attractive for you, or it's more within your budget, you're going to want to make sure that there are no foundation issues. So what I have had told to me by a foundation expert here locally is that when this community was first built in the late 50s, early 60s, the builder, in order to save money, was not putting any rebar into the foundations. So he would set up his foundation, kind of framing. He would put rebar down, and then he would call the city inspector to come look at the foundation. City inspector would sign off that, okay, great, rebar, it's all ready to go, ready to pour. And then before the cement truck got there, after the city inspector left, he would pick up all that rebar and move it over to the next house and play the game again. But the point is, those homes do not have rebar in their foundations, which leads to this massive cracking. The other issue is that those homes, again, this is what was told to me by a foundation specialist here in town, those homes were built on what was formerly an avocado orchard. So a lot of, compressed, over time, over decades, compressed leaves, the soil is expansive, it's, not exactly compacted well. So certainly be aware if you're interested in purchasing a home over here. It doesn't mean that you cannot, it doesn't mean that you can't solve some of these issues, but it is something that you want to bear in mind and make sure that whatever you're paying for that home accounts for any possible issues. Okay, that's enough on the west end or the avenue of town. Let's go check out Pierpont, and then we have the Keys. So this is Pierpont, again, starting with the maps, you can see what I'm talking about. This is the seaward exit here off the 101 freeway. And these are the Pierpont lanes. again, going back over to the closed data, we want to check that out right now. So for the first half of this year, 6 homes sold. Of these 6 homes, the median sales price was $1,817,000 with a median days on market of 19. Now, checking out the highest sale, it's this property over on Kingston, sold for $2,575,000. This was a 4-bedroom, 4-bath, just over 3,000 square feet, and it sold in 2 days on the market. And here's the reason why. You can tell that it's been remodeled, recently, probably within the last 10 or 15, maybe even 20 years. But the point is, it's a nicer home. It's several houses from the beach. When it's clean and turnkey like this and priced appropriately, they go pretty darn quick. So it's a nice, cute house. Congratulations to the buyer of that. Let's look at the lowest price. This is one of those, original beach bungalows or beach shacks. You can see here the square footage was 931 square feet, and 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and it sold for $1,295,000. But the point is, you're walking distance. You can just walk right down your lane, walk right down Shelburne Lane, and you're at the beach. You can tell this house was clean. I don't know when it was last updated, but it's certainly a clean home. This kitchen certainly needs some love. The cabinetry needs love. But anyways, so that sold for $1,295,000 in the lanes, 931 square feet. Moving on to the final neighborhood, it's the Keys. So let's see where the Keys are. So this is technically the boundary lines of the Keys. Not all the homes are on the water, although nearly 300 homes are on the water and have a dock. Of the nearly 800 in total homes, so the majority of the homes in the Keys are not on the water. Let's check this out though. Single family homes, and we've only had 7 sell. One of these was actually purchased by a client of mine. Let's see here. So we already talked about this when we kind of did that 30,000 square foot view of the city of Ventura. This is the highest price sale in Ventura in the first half of 2024. It was this property over on Seahorse. We will not go into that data again, but the cheapest or the lowest price sale in the Keys was this non-dock home on Seaview. And if you're not familiar with Seaview, if you're on the east side of the street on Seaview, you actually have condos and apartments that can potentially, depending on where you're placed on that street, look into your backyard. So less desirable. You can also hear Harbor Boulevard, which is a loud, noisy road. You can hear that from these homes too. I actually walked this property. I wanted to see what the condition was. This home needed updating throughout. Some of the walls, in the primary bedroom had actually, in fact, been removed. Let's see if we can find a photo of that. Oh, there we go. Okay, so at some point, I'm guessing they had a leak, and that's why that wall had been removed. But anyways, this was a 2,400 square foot home that sold for $1,412,000. It was in rough shape and needed a lot of love and attention throughout. And again, it was also located on Seaview, which in my opinion is not the most desirable street to be on. Not at least on the east side of Seaview in the Keys. And here's the data for all 7 of these sales. So the median sales price in the Keys was $1,707,000, and the median days on market was 21. So, as mentioned at the top of this video, homes are still selling pretty darn quickly, in specific pockets here in town. But in general, citywide, Ventura remains in high demand, and the median days on market is low. So I think where I want to kind of leave this video in closing is we have more inventory coming to the market, or at least so far this year we have, and that's great. So if you're a buyer looking for a home, you want to know that there are more options available to you, more choices to go and choose from. On its face, that could be a little bit concerning in that, does that mean that we're going to see prices begin to soften? With more supply, you would generally see prices come down a little bit. The data doesn't lie. Median sales price for a single family home in Ventura for the first half of this year is up $50,000 over last year. So median prices are still continuing to increase while our days on market are still relatively low. So the market still favors sellers. Deals are to be had. If you can find a home that has been sitting, twice whatever the median is for that specific neighborhood, that might be an opportunity for you as a buyer to go in and get a deal, negotiate with that seller and say, hey, we appreciate that you tried aspirational pricing on this property. You haven't gotten it. It's still sitting here. We're now ready to negotiate, and chances are that seller will also be ready to negotiate. If you are a seller in this market, it is still favoring you, right? You still hold most of the cards. The goal would be to price it correctly from the start to get the most attention on your property and get the price and terms that you're actually looking for. But in general, 30,000 foot view, prices are continuing to rise despite higher inventory. The demand is keeping up with it, and it's still a seller's market. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you learned anything, or if you're confused by anything at all and have any questions, just leave that down below in the comments, and I will see you on the next video.